What's going on, guys? Good afternoon. We've got some more cornerbacks to take a look at in this video, more free agent veteran cornerbacks, and now we are firmly into the depth. We are firmly into the guys that you sign to be a backup, guys you sign to provide special teams value. These are guys who are going to cost $3 million or less a year. Almost all of them are going to get one-year deals. Very few of them are worth multi-year contracts. Some of them just aren't very good. Some of them are old now. Some of them, it depends on who you're talking about. But all of these guys that we're going to talk about in this video look like they're either near the end of the line or they're just trying to scrape out an existence in the NFL. And we're going to go quick because we got a lot of guys to get through. And honestly, there are plenty of depth cornerbacks out there I'm not going to even talk about in this video or the next video. There are a lot of them. We're just going to talk about some that jump out to me. First guy, Isaiah Oliver of the New York Jets, former second-round pick. Going to turn 29 a little after the season starts. Started with the Falcons, went to the Niners, played a decent-sized role for that Niners team that went to the Super Bowl, and then last year went to the Jets. Generally considered to be a good, strong player. Pro Football Focus thought he was slightly above average last year on 560 snaps. 570, excuse me. And the year before that, with the Niners, a little above average again on 500 snaps. So he's playing a pretty good amount, and he's providing good value. I know he plays some safety snaps as well, so he's going to give you that versatility. Spotrac does not have a market value page for him, but I imagine this is going to be one of those guys who's going to be about 1 year, $3 million. He seems like a good player, but he doesn't have that respect. He doesn't have that notoriety that would push him into that multi-year bigger contract territory, I don't think. If he couldn't get a bigger contract after playing with the Niners, who went to the Super Bowl, I don't think he's going to get one after a year of playing with the Jets. Next up would be Nate Hobbs, another decent enough cornerback, 5th-round pick some years ago, spent the last 4 years with the Raiders. Some availability issues, but has started a lot of games over the last 4 years, averages about 9.5 starts per game, or per season. Nothing too crazy over the top here. Has made a handful of interceptions. Been a relatively consistent part of that defense. Pro Football Focus will tell you average last year on 550 snaps. Just about average for a corner. And then the year before that, a little above average. Pretty good, actually. 69. We like that. Almost 800 snaps, by the way, so it is a good sample size. And Spotrac does have a market value page for him. 1 year, $2.9 million approximately. So you're going to have to pay a little bit to get him, but he is young. He should be coming into his prime in the next couple of years here. So you might be kind of buying low here. It's not a bad idea to get in on the Nate Hobbs thing before he hits his prime. He's proven to be at least a capable starter in the NFL already, and maybe he's about to hit his best years. Isaac Yiadom, been bouncing around the league for a while now since being a 3rd-round pick of the Broncos back in 2018, so he's a little bit on the older side now, but he's just about to turn 29. It's not that big of a deal yet. Since Denver, he's been on the Giants, he's been on the Packers, the Texans, the Saints, and last year he made 5 starts with the 49ers. Niners fans were a little bit mixed on him overall, but the year before when he played 8 starts and all 17 games for the Saints, made a lot of plays on the ball, earned some really rave reviews, and showed that there is something pretty good here, even though it just can't seem to find a permanent home. Isaac Yiadom just cannot find that permanent staying place. PFF said slightly below average in 2024. Slightly below average on about 490 snaps. And the year before that, they thought he was excellent. This was the year he became a real ball hawk, made a lot of plays on the ball in limited time. 500 snaps, and he was consistently batting passes down. 81.1. I mean, there's something here. It doesn't seem like enough to get paid. Market value, there's no market value page. But coming off that year with the Saints, where he played quite well, he only got 1 year, $1.9 million. So after a year with the Niners, when he wasn't quite as notable, I'm not so sure he's going to do that much better. I think you're looking at like 1 year, $2.5 million. And he's going to have another really good year like the year he just had in New Orleans if he wants to get to that multi-year place. And he's already kind of getting old. He's getting there. So running out of time here for Yiadom. Here's a longtime NFL veteran, Jonathan Jones, two-time Super Bowl champion with the Patriots. He's going to turn 32 right about the time the season starts. He was on the 28-3 Patriots team, and he's been a consistent, if not always a starter on that defense. There have been some seasons where he's barely started any games. The last 3 years, he started most games, though, and he's become a more consistent part of that defense. Obviously, these Patriots teams have not exactly been defenses or just teams in general that you're all that proud to be a part of, but he has shown that he is a capable starter in this league. New England's defense has generally been pretty decent. So there's something here. There's something pretty good here with Jonathan Jones, or at least there was. The question we have to ask ourselves is, at 32, we're going to turn 32 on the 20th of September, right after the season starts, how much does he have left? Pro Football Focus gave him about an average grade in 2024. 700 plus snaps, pretty good. Year before that, they really liked him. 76.5 on 724 snaps. So it's seems like he was good, but he's at the age now where you have to wonder how much longer can he keep this up. Botrack thinks he's getting multi-year, by the way. 2 years, 5.6 million, so that's 2.8 million a season, which in terms of average annual value sounds about right to me. I could see him getting a little bit more than this. I don't know if he's going to get multi-year because he is older, but he does have a certain amount of credibility to draw on here because he was a relevant force on a Patriots team for quite some time when they were still winning Super Bowls, and then he became an everyday starter for them in the last few years. So there is something going on here. I would just caution against investing big in it when he's about to turn 32. CJ Henderson, former top 10 pick, really, really good in college. Looked like he was going to be a star in the league, and he just can't figure it out. Most recently spent a year on the Steelers, didn't play a snap. Got hurt, never got out there. Played a little bit for Carolina the previous year. Played a good amount for Carolina the year before that, 2022. Jacksonville obviously didn't pan out there. He played all of 10 games in Jacksonville after being the number 9 overall pick before getting traded. I mean, what else do you need to say other than that? But he's available this offseason. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to bring him back. Now look, Pro Football Focus paints an ugly picture. This is 2023. 400 plus snaps. Hit 45.4, one of the worst graded players out there. Year before that, not much better. And this is 750 snaps. Good sample size, just couldn't put it together. There's never been any indication this guy is particularly good. There's just talent there, and maybe that talent will get him something. But I think we're kind of getting to the point now where, I mean, he just signed a minimum deal, 1 year, 1.2 million with the Steelers, and then didn't play a snap. Wouldn't surprise me if he got another deal like that in the offseason. 1 year, 1.2 million minimum. But there is talent here. I could see a couple of teams getting in a little bit of a bidding war just because the ability to get a 9th overall pick in 2020 is valuable. I don't know. This one's tough. My gut tells me he's going to get over 2 million a year for a 1-year deal, but logically speaking, he shouldn't get more than the veteran minimum when he did not play a snap in 2024. So that one's a little bit hard to decipher. Adoree Jackson, another veteran, about to turn 30. Going to turn 30 early in the season. Spent his whole career with the Titans and Giants. 4 years with the Titans, 4 years with the Giants. Played a lot of games, played a lot of football. Never played a full season other than his first 2 seasons. Since then, every year he misses at least a little bit of time. And there's nothing over the top great. If you look at it, it seems like in terms of ball production, his best years were his first 2. Right? Those were years where he was actually making plays on the ball. And since then, it's been a lot more muted. He's become a lot more... It seems like he lost his athleticism a little bit. And he did only play 3 games in 2020. So very possible that he never totally made it back. He's, like I said, going to turn 30 soon. But still belongs in this league in some capacity. Had a nice little PFF grade last year. on 426 snaps, 69. So there's some value here. Year before that, not good at all, 48.6 on almost 800 snaps. So obviously, I don't think there's going to be big money here. There's no market value page for him, but I think you're looking at something like 1 year, 2 million, maybe 1 year, 2.2 or something like that. I don't think you get multi-year money when this is all you've done. I don't think that you get big money. I think you just get to stay in the league for 1 more year. So that's Dory Jackson. Jordan Lewis, longtime Dallas Cowboy, 3rd-round pick. A little bit of a smaller guy. Has missed a fair few starts in the last several years. But generally speaking, he has been a consistent presence on that team. The 1 year he missed a lot of time was 2022. Other than that, he's been at least available in almost every game the Cowboys have played. Not over-the-top production to speak of necessarily, but he's been a solid, decent contributor for a defense that has mostly been very good. PFF likes him a lot. Last year, they gave him a 71.7 on almost 900 snaps. That's quite good. And the year before that, not so much. 2023, 52.5 on over 700 snaps. So it's up, it's down, hard to make sense of. By the way, he's going to turn 30 in the offseason. So he's probably on the other side. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have something good to give. There's a market value page for him, 2 years, 4.5 million. I personally would be surprised if he got a multi-year deal, but I think the average annual salary is about right, 2.3 million, maybe up to like 2.5, maybe as low as 2, somewhere in that range, and he'll be a good depth piece for whoever signs him. Can't be too bad of an idea. Again, when you get down to this level, I want to stress this. All these players have a lot in common with each other. They all kind of blend together at a certain point, and it's hard to say if one is significantly better than the other or more desirable. Avonte Maddox recently just won a Super Bowl championship, but lost his starting job in Philadelphia when the Eagles redid their secondary around guys like Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. So he only started 3 games in 2024, didn't play a lot, didn't really play much the previous year, and only played half the season the year before. So he's kind of been on the way out for a while now, but he's still a valuable depth piece in Philly, and I think he can be a valuable depth piece somewhere else in 2025, assuming they move off of him, which seems likely. PFF thought he was below average, but not bad in 2024. Still a decent sample size, by the way, 350 snaps. Year before that, they thought he was even worse than that. They thought he was actually pretty bad. 141 snaps, though, so not a super meaningful sample there. So, belongs in the NFL, but he's a backup. No market value page, but I think you're looking at something similar to what he just got. 1 year, 2 million. That's what he got with Philly, and he played kind of meh. But he helped win the Super Bowl. That'll help a little bit, but clearly he's a reserve-level player in the NFL at this point. And age is going to start to be a concern soon. He's going to turn 29 in March. So you're going to get to that mythical, fearsome 30 age soon. So I think 1 year, 2 million is probably about right. Michael Davis, kind of a forgotten player here. Spent a lot of time with the Chargers, went to Washington last year and didn't play a lot. Had a pretty full career with the Chargers. Played 7 years there. Did some good things. Had some good seasons. But last year signaled he's probably near the end of his rope. Really bad PFF score, but it's only 140 snaps, so I'm not super wrapped up into this. I will say the previous year was better, but still not good. You know, a little below average, 56.5 on almost 900 snaps. So that's a meaningful sample size. So at this point, given the fact that he wasn't necessarily hurt or anything, he just didn't play a lot because Washington had players they liked more. I think he's probably at the point now where he's not even going to get what he got last year, which was 1 year, 3.2 million. You're probably looking at something like 1 year, 1.8 million. By the way, he just turned 30. So I don't think he's going to be able to push it up beyond like 1 year, 2 million. I could easily see 1.5 million, 1.6 million, something like that. And final guy for this video, Marco Wilson. Final depth guy for this video. We're going to look at a bunch more in a couple hours. Marco Wilson, this is the guy who threw the shoe, was a Cardinal for a few years, went to New England, then went to Cincinnati. Bouncing around the league now, never really found his footing, had one decent year in 2022, I guess. But other than that, he's been just kind of a guy who's been drifting around, hasn't started a game in a little bit here, didn't start any games last year. So he's a backup. He's a depth piece. mostly helpful on special teams. Pro Football Focus does not look kindly on what he did last year, 43.5 on 242 snaps. And the year before that, just as bad on 700 snaps. So you're not really getting much of a player here. You're getting a reserve that you can just pay a very cheap rate and have on the roster, knowing that he at least has talent and knowing that he at least knows what he's doing on a fundamental level. 1.7 million a year for 1 year. I mean, he is, I guess, about to turn 26. I don't think his prime is going to help him that much, but I think he's going to hang around in the league for a while. Eventually, he'll play himself out the league, but it's not going to happen yet. All right, so that's it for my first video on cornerback depth. We're going to do one more later. I know that was a lot to digest, and I know I went quickly, but again, these players blend together. It's really hard to figure out who's better than someone else. It kind of depends on what you're looking for. It kind of depends on what fits in your system. So to really dissect this stuff is difficult. But I want to present options, and people can go ahead and pick what stands out to them as being good. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks.